So good morning, everyone. I'll take it over here because I see that Mr. Giovanni Crisona is having some technical issues. Thank you very much for joining. I'm going to ask Giovanni if you think you can fix your technical problem or we simply can move on.
I don't know if you hear me. That's okay. You can continue and I will be connected.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I hope you can all see my screen. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Okay, let's start. First of all, let me welcome everybody to this first meeting of the Peer Learning Club, #1, the one about advanced manufacturing sector. My name is Valentina De Vico. I am the communication manager of the Skillman team. And probably you have seen my name because I have been in touch with all of you before this meeting for all the communication activities. And also I sent you the invitation to this group. So I'm very glad to see such a big audience at this webinar. Thank you very much for joining. As you have seen, all the participants are muted at this time, so just temporarily. To better manage this webinar. Later on, we will do some more interactive activities, and we will open your microphone later. I am today's host, and I'll be hosting this event with my colleagues Giovanni Crisona, who is the founder of the Skillman Network, and Elena Romanini. They will both interact with you later on this presentation, getting more into detail about what are we going to do today, the expectations that we will have for these peer learning club activities, and the kind of work that we have planned to do with all the participants. Also, as already mentioned in the invitation, that we will have some interactive activities in order to have your contributions and idea in a very simple way, but also well organized. So before giving the floor to them, I will just give a quick introduction on what is the Skillman Network and the main features of these peer learning clubs, because I'm very sure that many of you already know the Skillman Network and its activities, but for the ones who don't know yet, I will give a short overview. Okay, so basically Skillman is an international network of TVET providers, universities, industries, individuals, research centers, and policymakers that focuses on skills research and training in the advanced manufacturing sector. Skillman aims at introducing and exchanging skills. It provides innovative curricula for the advanced manufacturing sector. And it also aims at cross-networking activities among our international experts. The network was created in 2014, but since then it has grown exponentially. And nowadays we're very proud to count 560 members coming from 84 different countries, also outside of Europe. And it's expanding very, very quickly in the world, which is a very good achievement for us. The Skillman Network cooperates with many international organizations, as you see on your screen right now. Some of these organizations are AER, the Assembly of the European Regions, IVETA, the International Vocational Education and Training Association, Cumulus, the International Association of Universities and Colleges of Art, Design and Media, and EAPRIL, the European Association for Practitioner Research on Improving Learning. Now, the management of the Skillman activities, including today's peer learning clubs, were facilitated by these organizations, and they are done in partnership with the European Training Foundation, which is a big achievement for us to have such a collaboration. So let's get to the core of this meeting today. What are the peer learning clubs, and what are the expectations on these focus groups from all of you, from all the participants? Basically, the peer learning clubs are permanent focus groups. They are 4 in number, and each of them will cover a different topic. So these peer learning clubs were a focus group that we put together and that we will coordinate to facilitate the discussion and later the joint work on different specific topics. As you see from your screen right now, those 4 peer learning clubs, the first one, so the one that we are actually having right now, is about the advanced manufacturing sector. So it focuses on the sectoral dimension. Later, at 11, we're going to have the second one. So the second group is about advocacy and policy influencing. The peer learning club number 3 is about work-based learning and standards. And the fourth is called the Train the Trainers, and it focuses more on the operational dimension. Each group, after today, will meet regularly on a monthly basis, let's say. And at the end of this process, each of those 4 groups will create a policy paper that will be officially published. So this is a joint work that will give us a result. As a result, we will have this policy paper produced. So each of the participants of these peer learning clubs have a big responsibility in this case, because we will work on something practical. So, to get things started yesterday in the invitation email, we asked you to write down the term or the terms that, according to you, best represent the concept of the Skillman peer learning clubs. So, as I mentioned already in the email, I would like today to share with you the results that we had from this first approach to this kind of initiative. So, as you see now from your screen, the term that was mostly clicked, that was mostly chosen by you, was collaboration. So probably from all of you, we have this idea that the peer learning clubs are going to be very valuable opportunities for all of you for joint collaboration. And this is actually very true. Those peer learning clubs facilitate the collaboration among the members. Then we have knowledge sharing, which is another keyword. Of course, these peer learning clubs are going to be a chance for all of you as a platform to share information and knowledge. Again, I see learning, knowledge, learning from each other, collaborative approach, contribution. So it's basically the idea that every one of you had before even meeting for the first time. You already had in mind this idea of collaboration, cooperation on some activities. Participation is another keyword that for us is very important as well. Your participation level will actually make the difference into the final policy paper that we're going to produce. Another keyword that caught my attention is mutual learning. So I learn from you, you learn from me. It's shared knowledge. And this is actually these are very important key points that arose already even before any kind of activities, even before starting the first peer learning club, that each one of you had in mind before even starting. I see again, innovate, policy making, increase, reinvent. This word is already a very positive idea of reinventing something, bring something new to the society. Exchange, again, this idea of exchanging information was very common in your responses. Networking, probably this is going to be a very good opportunity for all of you as a networking opportunity to get to know more professionals in the same sector and in different sectors, because I remind to all of you that these peer learning clubs, the experts that participate to every group comes from a different background. They will all discuss the topics, but they all have probably some different contributions to the same group. Then again, I read expertise, mutual learning, sharing, grouping, interaction, peer, build, participative approach, skills, pooling, and common baseline. So thank you very much for giving this first contribution with your ideas through this poll yesterday. And so this is what we got from you, and according to you, the concept of these Skillman peer learning clubs and what it is. So now let's get to the times clubs. I can see my voice is echoed. I don't know. Let me check the. Okay, now I can hear me better. So this is the time frame of the peer learning clubs. The time frame is very important because, as you see from the screen, the peer learning clubs were put together in November 2019, and they will work in different cycles until 2021, so until next year. As you see in the middle of the screen, there is a CIF kind of tag. That refers, as probably some of you already know, Skillman organizes an international conference every year with international experts. So that is called CIF, Skillman International Forum. And this year, due to the current situation of the global pandemic, it was postponed until December. So why am I mentioning this date in particular? This is because in our mind, we will have the first publication of our policy paper of the peer learning clubs by that day. So we will be able to present it at the international conference as well. So one of the objectives that we have is that by December 2020, we'll be able to produce our first policy paper. As I mentioned earlier, each peer learning club will publish its own paper, so in the end we're going to have 4 different policy papers. Okay. So now I will give the floor to Mr. Giovanni Crisona, who will get more into the core of the principles and the fundamental principles of the. And if you're connected, I will give you the floor right now.
Thank you very much. Just a moment, we are trying to set. Okay. I suppose you started to see my screen. Just a moment, sorry. Yes. And now I suppose also the video we have here available. Okay. Good morning to everybody. My speech will try to introduce our work on the vision that we have behind the organization of these peer learning clubs. And first of all, let me thank you for this great organization, apart the technical problems that we suffer, of course, to Valentina and Luca that are doing a great work to help us to collaborate. I personally expect from these peer learning clubs to have a great occasion to exchange ideas and know-how on what to do in our sector that specifically address the skills in the advanced manufacturing. And I have in mind that it will be a good experience because I have seen relevant interest by all the colleagues that subscribed. I know from Valentina that we have I think more than 180 members that subscribed for this first peer learning club that is referred to the sectoral dimension. And so this good feeling makes me also to reflect why we not only what are the official reasons, the vision that we have officially, but also why I'm so happy to have this feedback and to understand that there is something, and why we moved in a certain direction. Reflecting on these things, obviously I got in mind the conclusion of the CIF, the last Skillman International Forum, and the word of our advisor, Rupert McLean. So his key messages, takeaway messages from the Skillman International Forum, and the same that we have taken to produce then the Skillman Florence Declaration. So we started to reflect on the mega trends that affect our lives. There are global and national economies and societies that are afflicted by these mega trends. And now, nowadays, with the COVID period, we see how it is real, this idea that there are big things that involve all the humanity in different layers. And these have implications in our world and in the work and in Tibet. So all our environments are afflicted, are touched by these mega trends like urbanization, you know, all migrations and the technology changes, the innovation that we need to implement, and so on. So all these changes, and in particular we see how it is true with the COVID age now, are making the human capital increasingly important, relevant. And what are the foundation of this? The skills. In particular, we discussed in Florence a range of skills that we think relevant, but in particular also I remember the green skills and the transferable skills, and so on. We have to move with the slides. Just a moment. Just a moment, sorry, I don't understand why you don't see my slides. Do you see my slides, Valentina?
Yes.
or it's your screen shared?
No, you have your screen shared. I can see your slide.
Okay. You can see? Okay. No, but I don't see. Okay, now I understand. Yes. So I can go on. So I was saying that these are the foundations, the skills are the foundation, and following the thought of Professor Rupert McLean, we have the need to re-engineering the Tibet for change. And we need, in this idea, we need to have an holistic approach. And we need to involve all the components that we have identified as necessary components for the Global Covers initiative that we are running in parallel. We have two dimensions: the re-engineering of the Tibet for change, rethinking, with a bottom-up process, what is required of Tibet to meet the workforce and the wider societal concerns. And then we have also a need for society and not only for labor market. So the reason to adopt an holistic approach is given by the fact that we need to include an ethical dimension that doesn't belong normally to all the business views. What are the challenges that then we have in front in this regard? I think about the impact and the characteristics of the curricula in the society of tomorrow. So today we have a responsibility about this, because we need to design this curricula, and we are Tibet experts, and this is, I think, one of our duties. And how, for example, the Tibet organizations could help in this. And this is an argument that we have in the peer learning clubs to discuss and to clarify. And the consequences, for example, of Tibet systems that are limited to just respond to productivity demands. We see again now how this could be important with the COVID. So we cannot avoid to consider equitable, peaceful, and green society. We need to include all these, because we see what are the damages and the consequences of our behaviors. And what could be the cost for such a society, and what could be the ultimate consequence for the planet if we don't design the right curricula for the future, having this holistic approach. Of course, there is not a conclusion, but there is a starting on this. This is, of course, is my opinion, but having to talk about our vision and reflecting on why I'm involved in this. And so what is the mission that I share with the Skillman members and the colleagues? So I think that we need to start including the embedding with a solid and consistent arrangement the ethical skills in the skill sets. And we need to do not leave anyone behind in access to the advanced manufacturing skills. In regard to this reflection, I think that finally we have to give an ethical impact to our actions. We need to give a sense to learning. And I think that the role of TVET in forming the consciences of those who learn is changing. I think there is a shift from the role of the education and religions to TVET, because more and more people will pass and are passing time in TVET environments, and they need to be helped to enter in this holistic dimension, to consider the green skills, to consider all the societal needs, and so on. So there is a shift from the human capital theory to the human capabilities approach, because all the skills, all the qualification that we are going to promote, that we propose as a change in the learners, have at least 3 roles. All the qualifications have a roles in the education environment, so in our environment, but also in the labor market, and finally in the society, and how we can make to coexist these 3 roles with the high-speed changes and the commitment to innovation that the market and the industry and the technologies make us in need to implement. So I think that understanding of the future skills needs and source consensus from the territorial level, like we are doing now, or from the stakeholders any level, adopting a bottom-up approach and a participative approach is the key. Is a value for the future of the society, and not only the future of the business. So our role, our mandate, our engagement is to build the curricula for the future and to bring in the game not only the interest of the business, but the interest of the society. We need to create the necessary social conditions to implement an equitable technology foresight exercise. So we need to build a skill foresight system that works well and that is like a skills anticipation wave, where you discuss the needs and you identify the curricula for the future. We have represented this idea with what we call a skills anticipation wave. So the Skillman model implement a skill foresight exercise that is embedded into the smart specialization platforms environments. What could be and how we can ensure a massive implementation of this mechanism that we have in mind. So the idea is we need to face the societal changes and the needs of the society. We need to prepare the workforce for the future. We need to design the curricula to prepare the workforce for the future, to give this, all these 3 dimensions to them. And then we need to understand what are the skills needs. To make this, we have this exercise that is a continuous exercise that put all together all the stakeholders representing the civil society, the business, the education, the research, the innovation, and so on. And so we had to implement these skills for site exercise and how we could do it in practice. This is not just a business process and can't be restricted to the sole education system, the TVET. TVET cannot solve alone. TVET needs business partners to put minds together and to understand the future needs. So this is not just a business process, is not just a business for the sole education sector. It's instead a societal project that needs a large consensus and needs the interaction at all levels. The international forum that we organize every year is one of our steps. It's an occasion to bring at the end, but in the same time at the start, a process that is continuous. And the peer learning clubs represent this vision, the need to discuss, to put together different players and to understand the future of TVET and to understand what we need to design for the future of TVET. And this participatory process that we are implementing here with the peer learning clubs would like to respond to all these, to the vision, to all these variables that we consider. So in sum, we need to design the society of tomorrow, being aware that the curriculum of today is the society of tomorrow. We need to design the society of tomorrow, making the learners, the part more conscious and responsible for the future as the results of the curricular design and implementation. So we cannot organize our, we cannot design our curricula excluding from this exercise the participation of the students and the learners and all the parts that are in this game. Concluding this reflection on our duties and opportunities that we have in front, and the reason why we are organizing the peer learning clubs, I want also clarify who are the parts that we want to involve in policy making. And all these are the policy makers that decide about our plans as a TVET world to organize and to design and to foresight the future and to identify and to provide the learners with the right skills. So the conclusion, Valentina, I give you back the floor immediately, maybe I talk too much. The conclusion in this regard is that we need to address the policymakers with our ideas. We need to produce this 4 policy papers that will result from the peer learning club exercises, and we need then to share at all levels, having in mind also a rollout strategy. We need to share these documents, our statements, our reviews, our policy papers. Each peer learning club will produce one policy paper and one review. So we need to share with these organizations, with these institutions, with the policy makers. We need to share our ideas and to have an impact on their own decisions. So our mandate is to discuss, to identify the ideas, to valorize the better ideas, to have a peer learning effect discussing on these topics, and then to produce our reviews, from the reviews to produce our policy papers, and then to diffuse at all levels our ideas with the policy makers, involving them at all levels, not only at supranational bodies level, but even at regional level, municipality levels, at the level of ministries of education and Ministry of Labor and Ministry of Industries and so on. So thank you very much for your attention, Valentina, and all participants. I will remain connected in case we need to interact more. Thank you.
All right, so I'm sharing my screen again, and I want to give the floor to Elena Romanini, who is connected with us today, and we'll go on with the presentation. Thank you, Elena. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody, and thank you for this space. Thank you, first of all, to all the participants of our first Peer Learning Club. And thank you, of course, to Giovanni Crisona for this inspiring intervention that will be our guide and our inspiring intervention for the future work, both of today, later on, and also in the next steps of the Peer Learning Club work inside the meetings we will organize during the next step we shared at the end of the event of today itself. Well, thank you. We can proceed with our event, and yeah, really in relation to the first, the intervention we learned by Giovanni Crisona, we can start with the first step of our interactive activity, that is an exercise, so a very small but nice exercise we can do through this platform we have prepared for you and our collaboration. You can access to the environment for interacting both by your PC connection, using the link you see on the screen, and using your browser, of course, or using the QR code if you prefer to access with your smartphone. After accessing, you can write the access code ELCs that will permit you to vote. So we will try to do this votation together, and we can use, of course, both the tunnels, one of them as you preferred. We will have some seconds for this votation, 30 seconds more or less, if I remember right, Valentina. So please, we can see together the first screen for the votation.
Yes, hold on a second.
So remember the access code, that is PLC. Well, first question for our exercise. Who will write? Well, no, we are not ready yet.
Hold on a second.
This is the first interaction to try to fix some common concept in order to share a knowledge baseline also for next step of collaborative work inside the PLCs, as presented at the very beginning by my colleague. So Yeah, okay, so first,
hold on a second because I have a small connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the right screen. So first question, vision. The curriculum of today is the society of tomorrow, a sentence we heard by Giovanni Crisona before. So you can choose one of the first options. I fully agree with this statement. I partially agree. I don't agree. I totally disagree. Please, let's try to vote together. And we will see at the end of the game, we can say the results in real time.
Right now we have a 50% and 50% with partially agree and fully agree.
Yeah. So a very good result for the first option. Then we can, as you agree, we can proceed. Valentina, up to you.
Okay.
So potentials. We can include the ethical values in the skills set. Okay, we will have to follow an holistic approach to skills design and anticipation, and also don't forget the social inclusions as cross-cutting approach to every action for excellence in that. So you are fully agree or partially agree with these statements. You can vote. We have the 100% of selection of the first option. I fully agree with this statement. Very good. Thank you.
Let's move on to the next poll.
Yeah. So motivation. We have the power to influence the TVET policy agenda. As said, through our PLC work, we will have to obtain a concrete result, that is the publication, but also other results for boosting the engagement of relevant stakeholders at any level, local, regional, national, and of course, international. So I partially agree, 67%. I fully agree, 29%. Right. Thank you.
Okay, Elena, going back
Okay.
to the
Yes.
point where you left.
Yes, thank you very much. We can proceed with our support presentation. And after your votation, we can proceed with, with sharing some main concepts and main rules for our collaboration in the next step. Okay, votation is concluded. Some information regarding our working approach and our working collaborative working methods.
Elena, are you waiting for me to project
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yes, we can tarmac with our presentation, and I think we can share the first slide. Yeah, this one. Thank you very much. This slide presents our working approach, we can say. As my colleague Valentina has said during her presentation, the Skillman platform works continuously through information and awareness campaigns and also training and activities. Also dissemination activities worldwide for a continuous and engagement of relevant stakeholders and vet operators at any level. This dissemination, cross-cutting dissemination, permits us to involve as private and public stakeholders we can at any level, but most of all, this cross-cutting activity is absolutely crucial for a long-lasting effect of our awareness actions themselves. So this cross-cutting approach to dissemination will inspire our work inside the PLCs, and specifically our collaborative work will be based on a first step process. We can see it on the graphic on the slide. So the first step of our work in the next meeting after today will be focused on a first phase aiming at identifying and prioritizing problems related to the advanced manufacturing sectors. What are the problems, but what are also the challenges, the main challenges for innovating curricula, innovating services, anticipating skills, and also for cooperating according to a network approach to innovation, participative approach to innovation. So the first next step will be reflecting together on the prior challenges and opportunities, of course, that innovation could bring to advanced manufacturing sector. The second step, the second phase, is named plan strategies. Of course, if we work together, if we are inside a format that is focused on the peer learning approach, we have to plan joint strategies to define how to disseminate, to capitalize the results, and also how to engage relevant stakeholders, etc. After the two first phases, we are asked to produce a result, a first result, referring to the main concrete results of our work, the publication, as Valentina said in her introduction. At the end of the second phase, we will have the first publication related to the focus of each peer learning. This first publication that will be completed thanks to the two second phases, the third and the first, will be a first result to become ambassadors of this cooperative work we will realize within the peer learning clubs. And it's a concrete tool, it will be a concrete tool for engagement, direct engagement in our context at local, regional, national, and international level, valorizing our networks, of course, for involving stakeholders. The third phase is take actions. Yes, after having a common tool, a common strategy of intervention, we can organize any kind of actions to communicate, to disseminate, to involve TVET operators, policymakers, private and public relevant stakeholders at any level. Once again, the first and last phase will be evaluate together. For the cooperative learning approach, we have to validate our final results. our final publication, the main output of each peer learning clubs. And this collaborative evaluation will be realized within the final celebration, the annual celebration that the Skillman platform organizes every year. So within December, we will be asked to obtain the final results of our peer learning approach and the final publication. So we can see next slide, please. So remember, we are asked to cooperate under the framework of these first phases, and thanks to this structure, this methodology, we can follow what we have decided to be our inspiring approach to innovation, that is participative approach to learning and policy influencing. Next step. Thank you, Valentina. So, common working tools. We have chosen as workspace, common workspace Basecamp. This is a very easy workspace for sharing everything. You can access and subscribe in one workspace for each of the first foreseen PLCs, and you can access to these links and make the procedure for subscribing. In this way, we can share every step of the work in the future, and this is the inner environment of the shared workspace for the development of our common activity. So the Basecamp is very easy, very simple to be. It's very, very simple to access and to use all the tools. You can find different rooms depending on the phase and the kind of the activity that will be realized during the PLC itself. So we can see the first room, PLC to do. You can check it for next steps for the tasks to be developed according to the instructions of the facilitator appointed for animating the PLC itself. A second room, that is PLC Schedule, that is a calendar of the foreseen tasks according to what we will decide together. Remember, that is a collaborative environment, so we have to decide together how to proceed, how to manage, and also respecting the overall timeline. What are our priorities according to the 4 working phases we have seen before? And we have also a chat for informal, let me say informal changes, informal communication regarding the different topics we will have to develop. And probably the most important room, the PLC review. This is the output of this room, collaborative room, will be the publication. And within the publication, the policy paper, that is a summary, sort of soft recommendation we will use for stakeholders' engagement. If you can see, as you can see, the structure of this room, PLC review, is coherent with the first phases of the collaborative work inside the PLC itself. Then the last room, that is a sort of repository for draft documents and any source we can find relevant for proceeding and cooperating. Next slide, please. Okay, so a focus on our workspace. As I said, the core room, we can say, is the PLC review. That is the cover of the publication we will realize together thanks to our work. And of course, we will divide this final intellectual output into steps depending on the phases. So the first output will be developed at the end of the second phase. Then we can take action and start with concrete engagement of stakeholders, and then we will improve this first publication into the final output thanks to the third and the fourth phase with the validation at the final celebration in December. Next slide, please. Okay, so you can find also this information on the Skillman platform and on the Skillman website. Anyway, we can have an overview of the 4 peer learning labs with their focuses and a general methodology of work as we are sharing together today for the first time. But if we can follow with the next slide, Valentina. Yeah, this is what we have to produce. So an overview of the 4 publications, one for each per learning club, depending on the focus of the per learning club itself. So, second step of our interaction. Do you remember the access code and also the links to make some exercise together? We have sort of some questions to answer for proceeding with our knowledge baseline, we can say. So first question, just for fixing some concepts that could be the base, the inputs for the next steps. Please, Valentina, if you can, the first question, first topic.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, with the links and the access code. We can start, if you want, with the interaction.
Okay.
So, just for remembering, for fixing some concepts, as I said, how many phases are there in the joint work of each PLCs? 1, 2, 4. Yeah, of course, 4. We have to reach to design joint strategies, and then have some common tools, the publication, the policy paper, first of all, for becoming ambassador of our decided joint strategy for engagement and also for innovating Tibet. Second one. What are the main objectives of the PLCs? So fundraising, self-learning, dissemination, peer learning, and policy making. Vote, please, so we can see the results in real time. So peer learning, 80%, and policy making, 60%. Dissemination, of course, it's a cross-cutting issue, so 40%. Self-learning, yes, because mutual learning permits also individual improvement and upskilling, of course, thanks to the cooperation inside the PLC. So we hope it will be a result. What are the main objectives. So we have conclude the votes, and we can proceed. How many publications of the PLCs will be made in total? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Take into account the 4 phases, of course, for cooperative work. Next one, I think, Valentina?
Yes.
We are with some seconds for voting. Top 4, 80%. Yes, one probably thinking the final result, but each PLC will produce at the end 1 publication. So we will have 4 collaborative publications to promote and to disseminate for the stakeholders' engagement. Who are the ambassadors of the 4 PLCs? All PLCs participants, members of the EU Parliament, UNESCO members, or your students and trainees as back providers. You can choose, as always, one option of these. Okay, yes, very good. All PLC participants, yes, we are the ambassadors of what we will produce thanks to our collaborative work. This is the basis of the participative approach that will be the inspiration of the PLC production and cooperation itself. Thank you very much. Which is the technology implemented to facilitate PLC collaboration? Google Groups, Basecamp, Microsoft Teams, or Zoom? After the event, you can access to the link we showed together, we saw together before, and you can try to enter in the common workspace. Right. The workspace, the common workspace, will be in Basecamp. I invite you to enter in the workspace and try to have a look of the rooms I presented to you before, if it's the first time that you use Basecamp as sharing tool for collaborative working environment. Who will write the 4 PLC official reviews or publications? Experts from EASA EU Commissions, experts from ITF EU Commissions, private company experts, PLC participants. Some seconds again. You can vote, selecting one option. So PLC participants, yes, we will be the authors of the publication and related policy papers. I remember one for each PLC. Okay, thank you very much. Valentina?
Okay, I take the floor again because, as you see, our colleagues already gave their presentations, and I explained to you what are the peer learning clubs, the kind of work that we are expected for you to do in the next phases. I see that we have 15 minutes left, so I would invite, if anyone has any questions or anyone has any doubts so far. If that is the case, please write your questions in the chat section so we can comment those questions all together in the last few minutes. Otherwise, don't you worry, because after this first meeting, there was mostly an introductory meeting. Later on, we will continue to give instructions to all of you and give you all the next steps for the joint work that we will do all together. So as closing recommendations for now, let me just mention those bubbles that you have seen every time we switch the speakers, and these are not random words. Actually, those words are very important for us and for the concept of these peer learning activities and the work that we will actually do in the next steps. So you can see it now on your screen. These peer learning clubs have a vision. As you see in the bubble next to Mr. Crisona, this vision is in line with the Skillman's fundamental principles that he already explained. Then these groups are meaningful, as you see in the bubble with the word meaning. They're meaningful because they will engage the participants into activities that are needed in our society, and they will create unique pieces of work. And then, as the last keyword, participation, as you see Elena's bubble next to her says. So this is a very important word for us, because the final work that we will produce will mostly depend on your level of participation. So we would really appreciate your contribution on this work, and we really expect many of you to access the Basecamp platform as we introduced today, and start contributing to the writing of this final policy paper that will have your name on it. So you will be able to have your name stand out in shaping the future of the Tibet sector. So I would say I don't see any comments so far. So I don't know if Giovanni wants to add some comments to this point, or Elena wants to add some points. Otherwise, we will go directly to the conclusions. Giovanni?
So I think we missed the identification of the winner of the quiz. Just going at the end of the steps, maybe we will have the brave that answered in a fastest way. I have seen in the chat also that there is Julian. Maybe we can invite him to give some words.
Of course. Hold on a second, I'll stop sharing my screen. Just a second. Julian, are you connected? Let me see if I can.
Some technical issue. 10 o'clock maybe.
Yeah, we can also reshare
running.
the bubbles, in my opinion, because we don't see them.
Yeah, we don't see anything at the moment.
Yeah.
Valentina, are you still connected?
Yes, sorry, my internet crashed for a second.
No problem. No problem.
Did you open the microphone to Julian?
No, because I'm also offline with the controlling panel.
Okay, let me see if now Julian can speak. Hello, Julian. Good morning.
Good morning. So thank you everybody for joining in on the very first PLC for this interesting project and alliance. I am the Vice President for Europe for IVETA, the International Vocational Education and Training Association. And it is our pleasure to be working with the Skillman Group on this exciting project. And we hope that we will be able to have some very exciting results in the coming few months, as long as you all participate, because we can have the best of intentions, but if we don't work together, nothing will get done.
Yeah.
Also, before everybody disappears, I have posted a link for the feedback on this survey. So because it's a learning process for everybody, and we are learning as we go along. And if there are some things that you want to see done better, or some things that we have done well, then please do give us feedback so that we can improve for the next one. Okay, so that's me done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. I would like to add one thing.
Please.
In relation to the partners, so we have also the association of the European Association of Regional Governments that is not in the speaker panel, but is one of our pillars in this initiative. Also, as Valentina has introduced, the European Training Foundation. I know that there are some colleagues of ETF that are connected. I would like to thank you very much for the support that you are providing to this common initiative. And I think that this is a very strong and strategical partnership. And Skillman is fully committed to bring on and to expand this collaboration with the European Training Foundation. So by my side, I would recommend that all the other partners that I didn't mention, and please do not feel not considered, but the list is very long, and my mind is to all of you and to all the Peer Learning Club members. Thank you very much for participating, and thank you very much for your fresh contributions. I have seen in the chat a lot of nice remarks and ideas. I think that this discussion can continue on in the Peer Learning Club's rooms. We use this technology-based camp that facilitates our collaboration. I hope that the collaboration will not be limited to the online tool, but will be also face-to-face as soon as the COVID limitations will allow us to invite you to the resident campus of the Peer Learnings and Peer Learning Clubs, and then also to the recurrent moment of the yearly Skillman International Forum. Thank you very much. By my side, my great appreciation to your work, Valentina, and the rest of your staff. Thank you very much, Elena, for the explanations on the technical parts. I think that the things are very clear now. I think that the participants have identified the points that are more important to reach the end of the 4 steps. I don't know, Valentina, if we can show the winner of the quiz now, but anyway, thank you very much for everything.
Yes, thank you very much, Giovanni. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's session. As a reminder, I will say that there will be other 3 meetings today, other 3 webinars today of the PLC number 2, Peer Learning Club number 3, and Peer Learning Club number 4. I have sent out the schedule, so you all should have received the different schedules. So if you want to connect later, you are more than welcome. And for all of you, we will get in touch via email with the next steps. So I hope the instructions we gave today and the introduction of the Basecamp platform were clear so far. So we will organize some subgroups in the future days and in the future months to plan for future meetings, and this will happen through the Doodle platform. So we will coordinate every step of the activities. So don't worry, we will get in touch with you soon, and just wait for further instructions for you later today or at the latest tomorrow. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope this was an effective meeting today. As Julian said, please take a few minutes of your time to evaluate this session. And for the rest, yeah, that's all from me as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. See you maybe later.